Hi, team. Welcome to the session on Coffee with Prab. And today we have a special guest, Mr. Shivam Vashne. He's my friend and gladiator and also so called brother, and helping me out whenever I'm in struggle with any part of SOC and all that. And I thought, let me disturb him to bring him into my Coffee Talk series, where he can share his insight, wisdom, thoughts about how to clear or what are the frequent question asked in a SOC interview, security operation centers, and how to answer those questions. When it comes to Shivam is already CISSP in, and he basically part of a lot of SOC projects and all that, and he carry a 10 year of experience in the SOC. So I'm sure he took a lot of interviews also where he asked several questions from interviewer, and based on that experience and all that, I invited him in this particular sessions, and I'm sure it will be a great informative sessions will be there, because by this video a lot of freshers who are looking for a job in SOC, they get the insight about how to answer those questions. Thanks, Shivam bhai, for coming and taking out from your schedule for this session.
Thank you for inviting me here and giving me this opportunity to have interaction with a lot of people here.
Thanks, Shivam. So Shivam, before we basically start our actual session, SOC mock interview session, um, as you also hire a lot of candidates, and when you're looking from the profile point of view and all that, so what is a normal element, what are the important details you look into the candidate when you hire any candidate for the SOC positions?
The candidate must have good understanding, and if he could have a good communication skills, as well as he can understand and say fit into the team environment. Whether he or she can fit into the team environment, it will be very easy for them to communicate and navigate through other different sort of roles and responsibilities that we are looking forward for them. So this is the main element which we are looking for. Considering technical expertise is something different, but a person should have a good understanding how it should be fit into the team and good communication within the team, so that the team environment should be very positive and we can take it forward whenever it requires for the in terms of incident response or other activities that we are conducting in the SOC.
That's great. So one more important thing which I would like to understand is, what is the necessary skill is basically required, apart from, definitely technical knowledge is required. So what is the minimum security information? What is SOC, what the kind of a level of SOC information is basically required for them to understand, to get the job?
Well, if I had to talk about the skill sets, or you can say the understanding, this the candidate should have an understanding of the logs. They should understand what all security and technologies we are having in the industry. What is firewall? What is IDS? What is IPS? Antivirus, EDR, all sort of technologies. And they also need to understand that if they will be provided with a certain sort of training or something, how well they can ingest and how well they can come up with the training, and how apart from this they must be able to understand and manage the alerts. They must have that capability to resolve incidents, analyze incidents, and propose actions based on the incident. For example, if certain virus detection is detected in the environment, they must know how to investigate it with the help of logs, what all tools that they need to investigate and look out for all sort of logs and investigation purpose. And how would they recommend, like what needs to be the recommended actions for the concerned teams as well as the user to refrain from all sort of for the future, you can say, issues, or you can say coming back to the same virus or malware into the system.
Great. So my question, what are the frequent questions basically asked in a SOC interview? So I thought let's start with the first part of that, because and thanks for the great insight you have shared, Shivam, and I'm sure it can be very useful for the people. So normally the first question which is normally asked in any SOC interview, I think, can you explain what is SOC and what are the main functions areas of the SOC? So how you basically answer? What is your recommendation for the people to answer that question?
Well, first of all, many people don't have a proper understanding of SOC. They keep on getting confused or having a misconception about like what is SOC. So let me just explain you in very simple terms. So SOC, first of all, stands for Security Operations Center. A SOC or Security Operations Center is a centralized unit that deals with the security issues of the organization as well as the technical issues. For example, any sort of threats that they are detecting, okay, that are targeting towards the entity. This the main function includes the continuous monitoring. I mean, we are working here in 24/7 to look out for all sort of monitoring all the infrastructure, networks, and all sort of things. If I explain it in a more layman language, I would say, I mean, we monitors identities, endpoints, servers, databases, network applications, websites, and other systems to uncover potential cyber attacks in the real time. So they also, I mean, like, we also do a lot of proactive security work by using the latest threat intelligence, so that we are stay current on threat groups and infrastructure things. So this is basically what we are doing in a SOC.
And so normally this is how you need to answer and all that. So any other pointer you would like to add when you're basically presenting a fact? Because one thing I understood is when you are in a first job of interview and all that, you should be also very confident, when you're presenting a statement. Is it good to add some examples by which you can explain people, like, is it okay, like, can we use this kind of example when you're presenting any kind of answers to the interviewer and all that, make them understand?
Exactly, absolutely. So let's suppose there will be a phishing. For example, there is a phishing campaign that came into your environment. So you must know how to investigate that phishing thing. First of all, you must have a clear insight, like whether the who reported you for the phishing thing, a user in the entity or someone else. If the user has reported it, then it should be in the form of an original email as an attachment.
Okay.
Most people don't understand that without having your original email as an attachment, we wouldn't be able to investigate the headers of that email. And the header contains all the details about how email come to the environment, what all things it comes up, and from where it comes, how to whom it will be targeted to. So all the details of that. Apart from this, we must know that whether the email contains any URL, or is there any attachment is attached into that thing. So if any URL is there, then there could be some chances of spoof. It could be spoofed. So we need to check on the sandbox, like how that URL responds. Okay, and once we get it confirmation that okay, this particular URL is clean, or it's a malicious, or it's a fake one, then we can process our response thing into the account, and based on that we can move forward accordingly, and we raise the incidents, we assign it to the concerned team. If it is like campaign, it will be targeted to multiple users in the environment, then we purge the email on the email gateway. So all these sort of actions we have doing by investigating, having on phishing.
Okay, so one of the one question which is frequently asked is about what is the importance of SOC team in the organization, or why should we hire you? So what is the primary objective of SOC team in the organization? So how you answer that question?
Well, to understand it, you must know, a person should understand, like, SOC team helps businesses, governments, or you can say other organizations, to stay ahead of involving cyber threat landscape, and which is not at all a very easy task in current scenarios. I mean, if you understand that both attackers and the defense community frequently develop new technologies and strategies, and it takes time and focus to manage all the changes in the SOC. I mean, even you can say a SOC team uses all its knowledge and of the broader cybersecurity environment, as well as the understanding of internal weaknesses of the organization and business priorities, so that they can develop a security roadmap that aligns with the long-term needs of the business or the entity. I mean, which basically wants to target which aligns with the business, you can say, their mission and objective. Because without having the clarity over the thoughts, what all objectives need to be fulfilled, they won't be able to do anything in a proper way.
Understood. And one thing I want to add here is, team, whenever you basically answering any questions to the interviewer and all that, please understand and listen the question carefully, because if you're going to misinterpret different and giving a response, that can be also a negative impression. So thanks Shivam for addressing this basically questions in more effective way. So my next question is, what is basically so I missed one of the question is, introduce yourself. Okay, I think where the people get in trouble and all that. So what is the suggestion?
Okay.
Like if I ask you this question, how you introduce yourself? Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just start by giving a brief about myself so
Hmm.
that everyone can know about myself.
Hmm.
So I started my journey with the networks into this information security field. Then I
Hmm.
went into the red team as an offensive player, where I started doing vulnerability assessments, penetration testing,
Hmm.
all sort of activities like this. Then I considered myself that okay, I have spent a substantial amount of time in this one side of the domain.
Hmm.
So I thought, why not explore something new, some new challenges? So I decided to move on to the defensive side.
Hmm.
That is the other side, which is a blue team.
Hmm.
So that is what brought me this. What brought me into this field of SOC, where I did explore multiple different sort of services of
Hmm.
SOC, starting from the incident response, digital forensics, threat intelligence, threat hunting, and so on. So it's a very vast field, and yet I'm exploring and looking out for new opportunities to move on.
So is it okay to add some hobbies in your question, or what you called um, about your personal details in an interview? Like, my favorite hobby is this, my objective is this, or my objective is that. So is it okay to add this kind of elements, or can we ignore that?
We can add it, but it should not target something which is not relevant with your domain. I mean,
Hmm.
it will be easy. It will be good if you can have some hobbies which are relevant to your domain. For
Hmm.
example, if I see, I normally used to add threat intelligence on a daily basis, like what all things are happening in the environment, and how our industry is getting evolved with the new technologies, and how we can use it in our stock. So my hobby is just to look out, like browsing internet, what all new technologies, what all new things are in the market in terms of SOC and defensive and offensive side.
Hmm.
So all sort of things should be very helpful for an interviewer to judge like what all your mindset is actually.
So my next question for you is, is normally asked the candidate is, what is the role of a SIM system in a SOC?
Um, if I say that a SIM is a very plays a very crucial role in SOC. I mean, we can also say that SIM tool is a very basically designed considering the needs of a SOC environment. What it actually do, since SOC is a centralized unit and it requires some tool to extract data for all the infrastructure for analyzing.
Hmm.
So SIM tool, what it actually do, it collects and aggregates log data generated throughout the organization technology infrastructure,
Hmm.
from network devices to servers. This data is then analyzed and correlated to identity potential security incidents, threats, and vulnerabilities with the help of rules created within the SIM tool.
Okay.
So this is how SIM helps us. Whenever you find any match with this rules that you have created, you get an alert.
Okay.
So an analyst who is sitting on the shift should investigate and look out on all the do perform all the triaging on the alerts, then investigate it like, okay, this is this all things what we are getting from the logs, it seems legitimate. If it is not, then he will do all sort of further investigation. Okay, what all details we are getting
Hmm.
from other logs as well. So after that, they correlate and raise an incident to the
Hmm.
concerned team, okay, with the necessary actions or recommendations that needs to be done to
Hmm.
mitigate or remediate on that particular SOC
And that
alert.
that is the reason, that most of the interviewer basically ask this question, to understand how much they know about the basics and how they
Exactly.
are basically well versed with the sim, right?
Absolutely.
So my next question is, which is basically non-technical, is
Mhm.
how do you basically prioritize and manage your workload in a fast-paced environment? See, the reason most of the people or interviewer basically ask this question is that because they want to know your patience level, how you basically segregate your time, how you basically think about operations and all that, psychological facts. So they want to know all these things. So that is the reason they ask this question. So if I ask you this question about how do you prioritize and manage your workload in a fast environment, so how you answer that question?
Well, the what practice I normally use in a daily SOC process that I'm having here, I
Hmm.
prioritize and manage my workload using various tools and strategies,
Hmm.
such as creating a daily task list, delegating tasks when appropriate, and selecting realistic deadlines for myself and for my team as well. Because if you're not understanding like what all needs to be done by yourself and your team, then it will be overwhelming to the all sort of all people. So which will be accommodated as a very difficult scenario on multiple occasions. However, if I had to, I also regularly communicate with my team and other stakeholders to ensure everyone knows our priorities are, because there are many instances in the SOC where people don't understand like what all needs to be done at the first place. Even in the management also, they need to be made very clear that what all things, what all roles and responsibilities that we are having here, and what all roles and responsibilities they are having. So this is how I normally used to manage my daily workload, and I normally used to communicate a lot on and off the field with my teammates, so that I can understand what all the gray areas they are having. This will help us to understand like what all mindset they are having, and wherever they needed my help, or like any sort of help from the other departments, so we can easily accommodate that and handle it more appropriately on this.
Great. So how SOC basically helps to make the organization security posture strong? The reason why most of the interviewer basically ask the question, so they want to know how much you know inside about the SOC, what is your knowledge about management perspective, technical perspective. So that's why the reason I ask you this question is how SOC helps to make the organization security posture strong.
Well, improving an organization security posture is a job that never finish. So keep on you have to. It is a continuous monitoring, analysis, and planning to uncover vulnerabilities and stay on the top of the challenging technology. Now these days, and you have to understand like what all your limitations and the priorities are. Until unless you have the clarity over that thing, you won't be able to understand what all are the gray areas where you really need to put more efforts to make your SOC environment more strong. Apart from this, it's easy for work to be neglected in favor of tasks that feel more urgent. But as I said, a centralized SOC helps ensure processes and technologies are continuously improved, reducing the risk of successful attack. I mean, since we are working 24/7, okay, so we are continuously monitoring all the attacks which are conducting or targeting towards the entity in a real time. So we are investigating it, we are responding it on the real time. This is how we normally used to handle all sort of we are helping businesses to stay avoid from all sort of attacks, and inform them on a very first notice that what all things we are observing some sort of attacks. So they need to be very clear that what all controls need to be put to avoid or reduce the minimize, or you can say minimize the effect of that attack.
Great. Yeah. So my next question will be, which is basically a very good question, which is common question, is how to build an effective SOC in the organization.
Well, to build an effective SOC requires understanding the needs of your organization as well as your limitations. Once these needs and limitations are understood, you can begin applying the following best practices. But before applying these practices, what I normally used to do, I used to divide in 3 parts: people, process, and technology, so that it will be easy for us and the management to analyze which all gray areas we need to focus on more. So if I'd say that, I mean, to build an effective SOC, you need to have a very good team. I mean, that's why I would say choose your team carefully. I mean, the effectiveness of SOC is reliant on the team members you choose. They are responsible for keeping your system secure and determining which resources are needed to do so. Apart from this, even when choosing, you need to include members that cover a range of skill sets that we have already discussed previously as well, and expertise, who can monitor systems, understanding of logs, you can say who can manage alerts, they have a capability to resolve incidents, they have a capability to understand and analyze incidents, and perform proper actions and give proper recommendations to concerned teams so that they can do whatever is required to remediate this attack.
So how important is a matrix for the organization?
I think it's very important, because until unless you have a clarity, you have a matrix, you won't be able to know what all needs to be done on which phase of
Correct.
incident. So
Correct.
you have the if you have the clarity over that thing, it will be easy for everyone to look out, like if there will be any crisis or any incident happen, so you know where to head towards.
Okay. That's great.
This, yeah, this
So
gives more clarity over this. Yeah.
so my next question is about you know, what is the goal of SOC team? You know, what is the goal of incident response team, you know, in the organization?
Well, in any SOC, the idea, or you can say, the idea is to just prevention. So we can say that prevention is the goal, and detection and response are the reality of SOC environment.
Okay.
So whatever we can put all the controls in the environment to prevent any sort of attack or any sort of vulnerability in the environment, but still if there will be any attack happen which bypass this controls, which is not detected by this thing, the SOC team detect it and take necessary actions and responses to that particular incident accordingly.
Great.
Yeah.
So my next question is basically the top challenges faced by a SOC team as a manager, as a team lead, as an analyst.
Well, there are too many challenges, but as I've discussed earlier, that I normally used to divide those in, again, the three factors: people, process, and technology, which helps me to understand like which where is the gray area and how we can address them. Okay, so I mean, normally what I have felt like there are too many alerts to handle by an analyst. I mean, that puts the analyst in a very tough position. They are the first line to stop active threats, and they have to know what's going on in their networks at all the times. The problem is that the SOC analyst deals with too many alerts to triage them all effectively. Most security teams that I have discussed with, they say that the critical alerts are being missed because of this overwhelming of a lot of alerts, which fuels work frustrations for analysts. And it's no wonder that they will constitute almost like 62% of challenges that we are facing on a daily basis.
Okay.
Yeah. And another, I would say, another point will be like too many false positives. Many SOC security experts find that 40% of their alerts are false positives.
Okay.
SOC analysts deal with too many false positive security alerts.
Okay.
It's very tedious, sift through all the noise and find the real threats, which means SOCs are missing out on critical opportunities to stop threats easily.
Okay.
This results in increased analyst, you can say, burnout, and make it harder for them to do their job more effectively.
Okay.
Another case is like, as per my experience, is like understaffed security teams. Since cybersecurity industry are currently dealing with the crunch of this security operation analysts who have the good understanding and skill sets to handle and manage the alerts. They don't know. I mean, we are seeing that a lot of training is required to make them more sufficient, to make them more responsive when there will be requirement of these SOC alerts that come into the real-time environment.
Okay.
And since the dynamics of this threat landscape are changing very frequently, so they need to be upgraded with the new technologies and new sort of logs types and all sort of investigation things more frequently. So this is one. These three are most prominently we are facing here. And apart from this, there is a poor visibility in environment. I mean, many security teams describes visibility as the key challenge in security. Okay, to investigate each alert. The amount of data that is collected in an environment, okay, is enormous. So it's not surprised that SOC analysts spend most of their time collecting, analyzing, and reporting on data.
Okay.
So this leaves little time to triage critical alerts, proactively hunt threats, or invest in training.
Okay.
No wonder then, like, they come up with like if they come up with the automation, this can really help to reduce their workloads and also give them more central. If you have a centralized unit or and centralized tool, which gives them a more better understanding of the correlation of logs or details that we are looking for, investigation and all sort of things. And the most important, you can say the challenge that any SOC manager, SOC team lead, or you can say anyone who is associated with the SOC management is this. I would say limited budget security. Security budget, you can say. I mean, even amid expensive, damaging cyber attacks, security teams still struggle with limited budgets.
Understood.
Yeah. So analysts understand that there are solutions available to improve security performance, like dwell time, MTTD, MTTR. But if the budget isn't there, the analysts are stuck manually triaging threats, which consumes a lot of time and resources.
Excellent. That was a critical point you said. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, security teams needs to be able to track metrics and pull reports to demonstrate value. However, there usually isn't enough time or enough existing capabilities to do this more effectively, because all the analysts who are doing the things more manually, they got exhausted, they got overwhelmed, they got exhausted, they got frustrated while managing all sort of alerts more effectively. And until unless the analyst mind is clear, they won't be able to do things more effectively. I mean, you can say more clearly. If you put everything on the same amount of time, then they won't be able to perform their regular duties.
That's great.
Well. So SOC analysts are up again, like you can say, deep of alerts. Considering the size and scope of SOC, security analysts often have their hands full of, with large volume of data and alerts to sift through. However, the right tools and processes in place could help SOC team to tackle these challenges head on, and in turn enabling them to protect their organizations. Still, I mean, if you have good budget, then you can choose very good tools which can reduce their workloads and make them work more effectively. At the end of the day, we want to have more effective environment, getting mature day by day. So to do all these sort of things, we need a good budget, from where the management is not looking, you can say, very good eyes on that part.
And so my last question is basically, which is a very frequent question asked by the interviewer: why do you want to change your job? And this is, see here, team, you need to see how you diplomatically give the answer. Okay, make sure you should not give anything negative in the statements and all that. So it should be a combination of balance. So why you want to change your job?
Well,
and what is your recommendation when you're giving this statement?
Okay, so I believe that I just forgot to mention a few points at when I'm discussing about myself. That I have a very big, I have a habit of exploring things and exploring a lot of things, getting into the new things, which brought me into this particular interview, where I am basically looking for a change from what I'm doing. Since I've been working in the environment, multiple environments, different segments of industries, and having a good understanding over the different domains of information security, now I'm looking forward to move with some different challenges. And being static in the same environment is not my style. So I'd like to move dynamically and explore new things, new technologies, new opportunities, new challenges, which gives me boost to understand like how I can handle more difficult scenarios, more difficult situations in a different environments. Since I have been working in multiple segments, I've learned a lot. Maybe if I can help using my experience to help other entities to work it out.
That is a good point you said, and glad you shared this pointer in this particular thing. So any other recommendation you have how to identify these patterns and all that?
Well, I would say that you should be very clear, like what all needs to be done. You should have a clear roadmap of your career that what you really need to do. For example, if you want to, since cybersecurity having a multiple domains, so you need to be very clear like which domain you want to go for, what interests you the most, and then only you can choose and move accordingly. If you want to switch in between, you have the opportunity to switch, but you should have to invest a lot of time and efforts to understand how things are moving, how dynamics of threat landscape are working on. You need to have the understanding how technologies are moving in a very dynamic pace. So considering all sort of things, all sort of these facts, I think it will be a better opportunity for everyone to look forward for the cybersecurity domain. And I would say, I mean, if you are, if one day you'll be in a very good space, if you have more understanding on working on the same environment, so that you can have a more experience and you can guide the people along with that accordingly.
Excellent. Thanks, Shivam. And this was really a great, insightful sessions. And really, it's really worth it. I'm sure when this video goes live on YouTube, it will give a lot of learning to the people who looking for their first opportunity in the SOC.
I hope so. I hope so for that. And thank you, Prav, for giving me this opportunity to come up and go share my views and points with the people who are looking forward for cybersecurity domain and wants to establish their career in this domain. And I would like to say all the best
Thanks,
of luck for their part to move forward for this.
Thanks, Shivam. Thank you so much. And team, if you're not subscribed to the channel, do subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to make sure you should not miss the future videos with Shivam. And Shivam, is it okay? Can I share your LinkedIn profile in the video description? So if someone have a doubt, they can reach out to you directly on LinkedIn.
Sure, anytime.
And team, do let me know, shall I disturb again Shivam for my next video series? And yes, what is the topic? Do share your suggestion in the comment box. Thank you so much.